Tactical Distributors. Impossible 15 gets you 15% off. Order today. Change your life.
Oh, Jesus.
I got gear questions.
Oh, get after
Send
it.
There's a sling that you created in your mind and then brought to the public.
Yeah.
In 1997, I was 2 years old.
97 you did a sling?
Yeah.
2
That's
point.
how long I've been making it, yeah.
But my question about it, too, is that because I don't know. I mean, like, the Vickers sling is similar, like, whatever, but it's got the pull tab, the quick adjustment that we use. I think yours was the quick to shoot technology.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of the earlier, like, is that one of the first slings to on the consumer market to use that? Because, I mean, now that's what we all use.
Man, I don't even know. I took a sling that the arms room gave me and modified it to work for what I thought I needed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, like, over the years, so many guys would ask me to make slings. And then when I retired, people were like, are you going to make these and sell them? Like, you made me one, I want another one, right?
Yeah.
And it was just about, learning how to sew. Kevin was saying earlier.
You paid attention in Ranger School. You wouldn't know this.
I know, right? But, yeah. And then, man, it was just... I learned really quick. You needed a 2-point sling to do what you needed to do, but at the same time, there was times where you needed to tighten the gun to your body so you could do other things, carry an injured guy, do whatever, carry a ladder, carry heavy items, right? Carry children, whatever, right? And your rifle's tight to your body, right? So I put the attachment point and the adjusting point next to my non-firing hand because I learned super quick. It doesn't matter how long it takes me to tighten the gun to my body because I'm not going to tighten the gun to my body in the firefight.
Right.
What matters is when I need to loosen it, like, oh, shit, I'm going to die. I'm able to get my rifle in front of me. You know what I mean?
That's a point that I think about when everyone's running these QD sockets and all that stuff. Like, granted, never deployed, wasn't in combat, but how often did you need to quickly remove your sling ever?
Never.
Right. So, like, I mean, we use paracord and the Sling Devil and everything like that. I never understood the camp of, like, I need a quick detach sling, other than, I guess, if you're putting it in a safe or whatever, that kind of stuff, admin type stuff. But, like, people are like, no, you need to have QD. Why? Why do you need to get it off? And if you do, cut it off. Like, I've never understood that idea of QD. Because it sucks. We all know it sucks. QD is not the best.
I always thought QD was to help when I clean my upper from my lower. I thought it was to help disconnect the lower from the upper so it doesn't get twisted when I put it back all together.
Yeah.
Is that not what it was for? There's more to it than that?
I
didn't even know.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I just don't like... I like QD when I got to put them in my gun safe.
Right.
Because I don't want to sling on my gun in my gun safe because there's a lot of guns and you pull it out, it snags 3 other guns, they all fall down.
That's why I did the rubber band as well, right?
Yeah, the stow, like a Ranger band.
Oh, yeah, to stow it.
Yeah. But, the whole reason I created the sling was it's not that I wanted to be a sling manufacturer.
Right.
Because I do not. You know what I mean? It's just that I had made so many slings for guys over the years. So many guys were still asking me for them. I started selling them, and then it just kept growing from there. But really, the only so what to my sling is once it's tight to your body, all you got to do is release it, bring it to your face, and shoot, right? And that's the most important part of any sling. Now, whether it comes off the gun easy or not, or the attaching points,
Yeah.
I think that's all personal preference, and I think that's what the world misses in today's day and age with the internet is the personal preference, right? Because if I come out and say, this is the hot shit, you must have this.
Right.
Everything else is irrelevant. It's like, well, it might work for me, but
Yeah.
like it may not work for you. Who knows?
If Grantham says it,
Boom.
it's Bible.
Boom. And I heard he is the son of Travis Haley.
Yeah, not the actual son.
And with that lineage, how could you be wrong?
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there.
He looks like Travis Haley, but he's not the actual son. That was just the running joke of because they look similar, so they're like, "Oh, it's Travis."
I heard that joke on the internet, and I, not knowing better, thought it was true for a little while. Well, how am I supposed to know?
They look
You know what I
similar,
mean?
yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to know? Like, Travis Haley's old enough to have a guy that looks that age. I don't know either one of these guys, so you know what I mean. And I know Travis Haley's been around a while, so fuck, I figured, oh man, that might be real.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, like, hey, you have a kid, he may not want to go in the Corps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might want to be Air Force because he's smarter than you. Like, that's possible. You know what I mean? Like, it is true. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you're doing holsters too,
Yeah.
and leather ones.
Leather.
Interesting,
Yeah.
old school, back
Yeah.
to your roots.
Yeah. Well, I get all the time, like, you know, leather holster, a guy died in Walmart parking lot, dry firing while he was waiting for his wife. Yo, the guy had like a fucking $5 Uncle Mike's fucking bullshit. Like, first and foremost, why are you sitting in your car fucking dry firing in Walmart?
Yeah.
A, why are you sitting down dry firing? B, like, there's about a dozen questions I have right now that don't pertain to leather or Kydex on how we got here, right? So, and then, yeah, I did leather. And I'll tell you why is when I was in the unit and I was a guy who could go out alone, I could tell the credit card kid, hey, I need a holster for X, right? And he could go out today and buy me 100 holsters. And then I could come back, you know, when we get them all, I go through them all. And I'm like, this one, garbage. This one, garbage. This one, garbage. This one, I'll try it. This one, garbage. Right? So I could go through all, however many he buys, and I might end up with like 2 or 3 that I try, and only one might be okay. You know what I mean? And then through the years, we started out, we were wearing leather. And then we went to nylon because we went from leather to nylon because Kydex hadn't happened yet. And that nylon fucking holster, remember that square nylon holster leg rig, the first one that came out? That lost more guns than any single person, that holster alone, right? That's where the lanyard comes from, by the way, if you were around then. But I don't even want to go there yet. So that holster lost guns. So then, like, I don't even know who it was. Maybe it was Safariland or someone made a plastic-like holster, right? And then these plastic-like holsters come out, right? And we start wearing them. So obviously, this starts working for outside the waistband range use. So obviously, this is good enough for everything. So then over time, the trickle-down effect is all the inside the waistband holsters became Kydex too. But the problem is when we would get them thin enough to where we can actually conceal shit, where it's not some fucking monster of a holster where, oh, it conceals well, but you'll never get the gun out to save your life in time because this fucking monster holster can't let you get the holster out in time. Right? And then the most minimalist holsters we could find of Kydex were actually sewn. And the Kydex was so thin, it was sewn like a leather. But the problem is one time on the O course and that fucker would break, right? Mm-hmm. So what would end up happening is I ended up having to go get back to the leather. And what would happen is when the Kydex would break, if it would break, like while it was on appendix or something, the fucking thing would crack and then pinch your fucking dick in the crack. You know what I mean? Like unacceptable in every way. Like you just pinched my fucking junk. You know what I mean? Like that just happened. Unacceptable. So I went back. I found a guy to make this for me. I went back to leather. And then I've been back to leather ever since, and this is such a long time. So when I retired, I started teaching classes, what I would do is if I was teaching like a special forces guys concealed class, I would have my guy make holsters for everybody, and I just give them to the guys, because the best holster you ever got is the guy who built it showed you how to use the best. So I'd make them. I'd show guys how to use them, and then the guys would be like, "Oh, these are awesome," right? But the reality is like, the fucking leather is what should be next to your body, not Kydex, my opinion. And every time I hear the fucking leather will get you shot and dead in Walmart parking lot, I always ask one question to the Kydex manufacturer propaganda guys. Oh, Kydex sucks? Okay, so everyone in World War II was wrong?
Yeah. Or everywhere before that.
Everybody before now is wrong in history, even for swords, because that's all leather.
Yeah.
The reality is leather's comfortable. Leather gives a little bit. Leather moves with the body. Your skin gives a little bit, right? Having a fixed object next to your skin never does well. So leather's just comfortable.
You do a Kydex holster too?
Mm-hmm. I do a Kydex. The Kydex one I make is a deep concealed holster, but that one, that is my Bosnia holster. And when we used to have to go into like the government buildings in Bosnia, and the government buildings in Bosnia, we'd have to go get a Serbian war criminal, but he would be a government official and he'd be in a government building in Bosnia, and we got to get him, right? So what I would do is with what I call the deep concealed holster, and this goes back to an OSS technique, is you take a string, you put it behind the button of your pants, you run it down in your pants, and then you take the front of the 1911, the barrel, you put it through the string, and that way it keeps the gun lower in the pants, right? Well, what this would do is it would keep the gun below the belt. So I get my shakedown, a guy'd pat me down, I'd have my gun below my belt. Why? Because it's in my junk. You know what I mean? And a dude's not going to touch another dude's junk. And then we go into the government building, right? And then when I retired, I made one of these as a holster as well.
Oh.
So I call it the deep concealed holster. But a lot of guys like it because they like the string instead of a clip. They like to tie it behind the belt button, or they like to tie it to a belt loop.
So it just sits. I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to look it up. But
yeah,
the best one that I have messed around with within the last couple of years is the Raven concealment little clip that they have, because it's the closest you can get to not having a holster but still covering your trigger guard. But
yeah,
but I mean, it's in the same position that you would always be.
Yeah.
So that idea of the deeper concealment is cool.
Yeah, the reason I don't like just a trigger guard clip is because I have had people on the range that put a gun in a backpack or bag or purse, and there be a Skittle jammed in the end of the barrel. You know what I mean? Like, this could be bad when the time comes, right? So
The old Skittle in the barrel.
yeah. That's the third time this week, Kevin. God damn it. You know what I mean? I didn't think you'd get me this past Wednesday, but damn, you snuck one more in this week.
Beverly Hills Cot, remember? Banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, banana in the tailpipe trick, right? But yeah, so I always like to cover the barrel as well. And that's what my deep conceal does. It covers the trigger and the barrel. The next thing I always like to
you ain't trying to get a Skittle in there, Jay.
Yeah, and what if you don't eat Skittles? What if you eat bigger candy? Like, you know what I mean? You could be even worse.
Yeah, makes sense. And how's that string work? You said it runs.
So
over the barrel?
so the string goes behind the button of your pants, and then you figure out, you tie a loop, right? How big you need to loop, and then what that does is once it's behind the button of the pants, it becomes the height of the holster. So when you stick the gun and the holster in your pants, it'll ride whatever height of the loop you tied. Makes sense? So it becomes the ride height.
Huh.
But the beauty part is when you draw the gun, this is the beauty part of like doing a lot of the like limited signature, low vis type stuff back in the day, is you draw and the holster would come out of your pants.
Right.
And it'd be on the string just dangling in front of your pants. When you go to reholster, you just look down, you grab the holster, stick it in,
And then tuck everything back
retuck, and get out of there.
I like it.
in. Yeah.
I like it. Well, what else you got product wise?
What else do I got? Oh, the puncher, or AKA renamed P tool because of social media. It's basically a punch dagger made out of G10.
I love the G10 stuff. So
Yeah. I did G10 years ago over carbon fiber because years ago I knew carbon fiber, the matting of carbon fiber will ping a metal detector, right? And it's the way that carbon fiber is woven, and I believe there's metal woven into it where it'll ping a metal detector. So it's just all G10. G10 is chemical resistant, right? You can wash it in bleach. It won't hold DNA. You can sand it with sandpaper sharp.
Put a little point on it.
And it's just a punch dagger, right? So a lot of times what I do with it is I stick it between my belt and my pants, right? And, if I had to go to a baseball game or something, with a metal detector, it's G10. I just walk right through.
Are you familiar with the Black Triangle Group stuff at all? Similar idea. It's just a whole catalog of G10 tools. And they've got one that's actually, I think it's their most overlooked tool, but they did it during COVID. They call it the touch tool, but you were seeing people open door handles with these long hooks or whatever. Yeah. But you flip it around and you've got a hard point at the end. Just for like a blunt instrument. It's not sharpened at all. And it passes through. We were down in Virginia and I went to the guy's place and he showed us a bunch of stuff and how they're defeating certain things or whatever. It's super interesting and it's cool. Like you said, we talked before. I don't even know if we were recording, but if you're in an environment and you want to at least have something on you, that low vis,
absolutely.
Because most places, at least on the civilian world, you're not getting patted down. You're getting wanded, maybe you're passing through, whatever. But
you got to. Look. Everyone wants to carry a gun because we're Americans, but I'd be happy with having something. Yeah. Something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether that's G10, I don't give a shit. It's a fucking meat cleaver. If that's what I could pick up and I felt like I needed it, fucking let's carry this motherfucker right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's cool that you did that. It makes sense. The low vis stuff or whatever.
All the products I have was all stuff that I wanted that no one else would make me. You know what I mean? Or stuff that I just couldn't buy anywhere. And it's probably some of those items that are just so small, niche-y wise that wouldn't really be volume for a big business to pick up.
Outside of gear, what are you doing now?
Man, what do I do now? So I basically teach classes. I do kind of open enrollment classes. I teach law enforcement. I do some military stuff. But basically I do just video diagnostic stuff. And what does that mean is I videotape you, I watch you shoot, and then I give you we look at what you do. I give you best practices, right? What would I call best practices are the few things you need that'll make you better long term, right? One of the things when I started doing the video stuff is no one has ever looked at shooting based off of video and gone, okay, long term, what is the best second, third, fourth, fifth order effect for any technique we could have for anything we could do, right? So what I did over the years is I just started watching videos and I could have a brand new housewife who couldn't even hit the target. And one small micro piece of what she does is who taught you that? Yeah. Why you do that like that? Who showed you that, right? And she's always I just figured that was the right thing to do. You know what I mean? So what I would do is I'd make a note of that, a note to self. This piece was amazing, right? And then over time, I'd see more people doing that piece at different times. I'd ask them where they learned it. Most of the time, they didn't learn it. It's just something they figured they should do. Over thousands of videos, what I had was kind of what right looks like. You know what I mean? And not only what right looks like, but second, third order effect, right? Like a lot of times, everybody talks about this. You go through police academy, you go through, I don't know, basic training, military shooting, right? You will shoot, you'll go through this class, whether you pass or fail, you'll be pretty good. And then a month from now, 2 months from now, you're going to lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the reality is well, that's only because it's based off of bad training. If you look at the NFL, right, and the NFL retirement is 6 years, a 6-year model to retirement. You want to, if I asked you, 2 or 3 years in the NFL, if a guy 2 or 3 years in the NFL is better or worse than when he came, of course he would be better because he has a coach for everything he does. You know what I mean? If he's a fat guy, the coach is like on the treadmill. You know what I mean? Yeah. If he's already fast enough, he's like in the weight room, right? So everything these guys do, every minute of their day is measured, right? But yet when it comes to shooting, like the shooting world's like, oh, fuck that won't work, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Well, the video thing specifically is cool because you see it in these, like, I know a lot of guys that are like every year they go get their golf swing videotaped, and then a coach is like, here's so you can see it, as opposed to them just saying like, hey, you're holding this a little too high or whatever. You can actually see, oh yeah, I am fucking that up.
Yeah.
So that's a cool take on because why not in the shooting industry, or why not?
I would tell you this is most guys that come to my class, or girls, I'll videotape them. We'll come back to watch the tape, and I'll be like, okay, you ready? And I'll go to hit play, and they're like, and I'll be like, what? And they'll be like, go ahead and hit play. I already know it's fucked up. You know what I mean? And the truth is like, look, the first time you see yourself shoot, right, you're going to look like Barney Fife, right? Now, your brain thinks you're 29
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick, Rob Latham, John Wick. And it's your brain. It should think you're the best motherfucker out there. It's your brain, right? The problem is like,
get your ass.
I'll get your ass.
Yeah. But the problem is like, we should be meeting in the middle, but the reality is we meet somewhere on the Barney Fife side because we've never seen ourselves shoot. We think we're badasses, and as soon as we take a video, we're like, oh, we suck. So, so I take the video.
I don't take videos of sex anymore.
All right. Yeah.
I'm not Rob Latham. Oh, God.
Or Robbie Longshanks. What depends on what we're watching.
Peter North. I'm just nothing.
But yeah, the video diagnostics look. Also with the video is, in the gun world, a lot of guys have ego, right? And the gun world is the ultimate in big ego. At the same time, it's the ultimate in play pretend because, we're not really going to kill anybody today because guns kill people. So we're just going to play pretend, and we're going to play pretend long enough that, maybe someone might believe that this play pretend shit's going to work somewhere. Right. So, as we go down this play pretend road, no one could ever judge you. And this is what I always call the soft enemy concept, right? Where, hey, if we looked at this stuff on video, we were honest with ourselves, how these things pan out, right? With a little bit of experience, we could come up with a great solution, right? And not only could we come up with a great solution, but we could come up with a repeatable winning solution for any situation we get in.
Well, let me ask you this. In your time in the unit, what was the average distance of an engagement?
Oh, man, well inside 100 yards.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's comparable to what you would think in the civilian world it'll be?
No, I'd say it's a lot closer in the States.
Yeah?
Yeah, the average gunfight in the States, I think FBI.gov, I think is 3 yards for gunfight. And I think average sniper shot is like 70 or something like that.
As a sniper, what was your average when you were deployed?
Yeah, I would say snipers would average more than that, right? Because you could be on an objective where you could do 300 to 400 yards one day, and the next day you could be in a city where you could be 70. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would say if I had to average like unit snipers, I would say, I would average them probably maybe 200 yards.
We're sitting here looking at these long barrels, and
Why do you need it?
we're talking averaging 200 yards. You don't need that barrel.
No.
Well, I would tell you this, a police sniper in the United States with an average distance of 74 yards, why aren't they using 5.56? Why are they using bolt guns still, or red dots?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Could be a gas gun. You get a faster follow-up shot.
Yeah.
I don't know about 5.56 because I don't know about like glass or how often that's a
Penetration, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe a 30 cal, but you could have a 12-inch gas gun.
Yeah.
For sure.
308.
For sure.
Be great.
And you wouldn't have any accuracy issues, for sure.
No. That short barrel, stiff, accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's interesting. Because this gun, I mean, is really developed probably based on you guys being in the Hindu Kush.
Yep.
And 1,600 meters.
Yep. I would say 600 yards was close for Afghanistan. But
and that's a poke on a person.
Yeah.
Like you can fuck a 600-yard shot up on
Yep.
a person. I don't care how badass you think you are.
Yeah.
Get in a real situation. Not that I've been in the Hindu Kush shooting people, but I've been in the mountains shooting people-sized things. And man, you ain't always prone. You ain't always on a tripod. You ain't always supported properly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have some difficult shots.
Yeah, for sure.
Difficult shots, difficult wind. You can have the sun in your face. You can have a target not, broadside. I mean,
yeah. I'll tell you though, I think one of the most complicated things that I wouldn't say complicated, I'd say hardest things I've ever had to do is you sit on the side of the mountain for like a week. The assaulters fly in, right? And then after the landing happens, the countdown starts and you got to shoot on one. I've been here for a fucking week and you're going to narrow me down to a 1 second window that I need to start shooting motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is, but that always seemed like that was one of all the more complex things, right? Or harder things to do, only because like when I'm ready to shoot it, this could be easy to shoot. But when you're giving me the fucking countdown and dudes are converging on the target and I got like a 1 second window before I'm shooting into my own dudes.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that come into play. Like in my experience, it could be sun, wind, you could have a cramp, there's just so many things. You might not be,
What if your target's not there anymore?
Well, I mean, that's one thing. But a lot of times it's like target can be broadside. You've got, a 16, 18-inch target. All of a sudden he's not, and you've got his head, which is a 8-inch target, and that requires a lot more concentration. Yeah. I mean, you got to be better supported. You got to be more sure about your shot because that's kind of either you kill it or you miss, sort of thing. It seems.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say this: 1 shot, 1 kill, bullshit. Biggest fucking crock of shit ever produced in the sniper world. Bullshit.
I tell you, like that kudu video, Thomas, where we take the 1 shot and it like backflips. It's like it's high fives all around. It's high fives all around because that happens 1 out of 20 times.
Yeah.
Like you just don't. No, I mean I think it's whether it's a short bolt throw like this MSR. They had like ergonomic specialists design the bolt handle to make it faster. It's a 6-degree bolt throw. It's a great gun for faster follow-up shots. The gun weighs like 20 pounds. Got a muzzle brake on it. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the number of shots in the average animal in Africa, but I would bet it's 2.5 probably.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
And you can't have gas guns there.
Right.
So the bolt gun, it could be 600 meters. You got to put 2.5 shots in something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't know what happened. You fire that first shot. Sometimes they're wounded and they stand there. Most of the time they run and they hardly ever run to where you want them to run or they're not broadside.
That was like Nick talked about it in the Africa episode, but he shot a wildebeest, started at 560, and the last shot he put on it was at 660. Up and down and different elevation. Like, and it's never going to go the way you want it to go.
It's hard. I mean, that's one thing I've learned about, hunting in Africa, especially in the mountains where the terrain's difficult. I put a shot on it. I don't care if my next shot is up the keister.
Yeah.
That's where it's getting a bullet.
Yeah.
Like wherever I can put
stop.
Yeah. After I put a shot, hopefully into the vitals where, I shoot when I have a good shot, broadside or a hard quarter, whatever I got. But where I'm comfortable with the shot, after that, it gets it wherever it gets it. Wherever I can put one in, man, that's, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, you're sitting there for a week, and then you got 1 second to take a shot. It's simple on the range a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what else is like, they're flying in, right? You start aiming at the target, right? You get your aiming to where at least you could hold steady on the target or whatever, right? And then, like, you start aiming, you start watching the target because they're coming in. You're getting the radio calls. They're coming in, right? And then, like, you start aiming, you know what I mean? And then they're like, well, they're 30 seconds out, so now I got to aim for the next 30 seconds. And then,
which is like an hour.
Yeah, it seems like it anyway. And then they're 10 seconds out. And then, and then finally by the time, like, they're like the countdown starts, you're like,
yeah.
Hold it for 3 more seconds. 3 more seconds. I got this.
It is interesting when you think about, like, your breathing or just, being supported properly with, like, your bones on the ground or whatever you're being supported by, and just relaxing. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, at least even with hunting and animals, it's like staying calm and staying relaxed is that to me is like half of making the shot. But in a situation like that where you have to wait, because not a lot, but probably 10-20% of my shots, because now I just hunt certain animals. Like I hunt all the species, it doesn't matter to me, but I really look for mature animals or broken horned or skewed horns or just the oldest possible. And so there's a lot of hunting that goes into it, like when you talk about like reconnaissance. So there's a lot of sitting in a valley, glassing, looking for something that is old. Like, I've shot all the stuff now, and that's what you go after. And so, okay, got this one animal, and like, they don't get old on accident typically, and then you gotta, find it, try to get as close as you can. You got to get set up. You got to try to make a good shot. And half the time, like, oh, we want to get to this, wood line, and there's some big rocks there. We can get set up on that, and and that's 150 meters, and the animal's 600 meters, and we get about halfway there, and you're fucking busted. Yeah. And so now, like, what can you shoot from in the next 10 seconds?
Yeah.
That's what you got.
Well, one thing, I mean, we've talked about a little bit, and you've talked about getting kind of, when people ask, well, what should I do to get spun up if I'm going to go to Africa or like this big extravagant hunt? I'm going to pay a bunch of money, I'm going to go do it. And we talk about pick alternative shooting positions, whatever. Yeah. But one thing that, we just touched on it, and we saw it in practice when we were over there, is pick an alternate shooting position, pick a weird shooting position on your flat range, and then sit there for 15 minutes in position and start getting wobbled. And once you start feeling fatigued, wait another 2 minutes and then take the shot. Because like we saw it with Jose, like we're shooting up on top and it's wide open. And these animals can see forever.
Yeah, and you're at 6,000 feet, and Jose's not the most fit motherfucker in the world.
He's on glass, about to take a shot, and this thing's standing there staring at us.
Yeah, and it'll turn and face you.
Right, and we're trying to get a shot, and you got to sit there for 12, 13, 14 minutes, dicks in the dirt, not moving because it's looking right at you, and you don't want it to go. We just chased it for 3 hours, so... And then you start getting the walls, whatever, and then you're more apt to just float around or whatever.
Yeah, you get worried. You got to get out of your head. Another way to do that is, get to where you want to take a shot before you get set up, run in place for 10, 20 seconds.
Right.
Like, do that, pick up the gun, shoot within a couple seconds.
Right, yeah.
Like, I think if you get comfortable, it's probably like anything else. Like, make yourself comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Right.
I don't know. It's probably that's probably real deep and poetic most of life. But
well, that's just all training in general, right?
Yeah, like be willing to suffer more than the next guy.
Yeah, I would tell you this in like I just taught a 600-yard class last weekend. I used to teach shooting from the kneeling, 1 through 6 from the
Wow.
kneeling, right? I eventually stopped, and I'll tell you why. Is because most guys won't practice from the kneeling, nor do they even want to take a kneeling shot. So they will be better and hit more targets from the standing 1 through 6 than they will the kneeling.
Just because they won't practice
Yeah,
it.
because they won't do it, right?
It sucks.
It hurts to be on that knee, so they're done right now. So I stopped doing the kneeling in class because what I realized is you will be worse at kneeling because you don't practice it as much,
that's interesting.
even though it's a more stable position or should be.
Oh, certainly, yeah. You can get bone on bone right to the ground. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind kneeling. Like, I mean, I actually shoot a lot offhand. Like, if we're within 200 meters, sometimes 3, like, I'll shoot offhand. But most people aren't comfortable with that. But I like that better than some other things. But I think it's just a matter you got to go and practice.
Yeah.
You know, you take a deep breath, let it out, relax, squeeze that trigger, let it surprise you.
I think a lot of
try to
people-
keep that wobble zone just
Small.
Yeah.
and
I think a lot of people aren't necessarily. I think there's two ends of the spectrum where some people are willing. They'll just grab any piece of gear to add on that they can because they think it's going to give me the advantage. And then there are people that won't necessarily grab gear because they think, oh, it's too much shit. I don't want to have to mess around with it. But like, there's a happy medium. Just having a rear bag, or like you saw Jared with that game changer on the tripod. Like just having something, some sort of support. Because people will be like, I got a bipod. That's good enough.
yeah, I mean, you get to think that you have to shoot prone or you have to shoot on a bench. I never get to shoot on a bench in Africa. I shoot prone 10% of the time because normally the grass is too high or there's rocks.
Shit, sharp.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I mean, you know that, like going through all the sniper shit, it's I mean, an urban area, I don't know, maybe you can set up better, but if you're out like in the field, it's like 90% of the time something is fucking you from a prone shot. Just is.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt. So being able to use that bag, put it on something, like did I show you the videos of Heidi shooting off the tripod with the bag? So, 200 shots at 400, inside 400, she missed 2 shots.
Yeah.
And, it's just, she'd never even shot a bolt gun, but she'd shot gas gun and pistol.
Right.
But she doesn't have an ego, woman. She's like, okay, teach me how to do this. I want to be good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, here's what I know. Here are the basics, and you spend an hour going through all the stuff, and then she just starts shooting, and, she just like naturally doesn't really have a flint. She's shooting with a silencer, and she shot off the bench in the cabin. She shot prone off the rock. She shot off the tripod with the game changer bag on top of it. She'd never done that.
Yeah.
And then off the boulders on the range in different positions, and just teaching her to support herself, and then squeeze the trigger, breathe, squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
Fuck, she could shoot as good as I could, like within, a few hours.
Yeah.
And, she's going to be able to kill anything inside of 400 meters.
Yeah. It's crazy. Just like it's such simple things, simple points to build up decent marksmanship.
Yeah.
And it literally comes down to points of contact. Like if you can get an extra point of contact just to support yourself, you're exponentially, you have an exponentially higher chance of hitting what you're going to shoot. And I think like it was cool to see when we went to Griffin and Howe and we did all that stuff, like watching dudes who do that professionally, like PRS stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing their instinct, like instinctually the rest of us are going to get down in a certain position. But then you see these guys and you're like, that looks fucking stupid. But they have 6 points of contact on whatever they're doing, like shooting off a hood. Guys not only squaring up, but then getting themselves against the car and leaning over, like just little shit. And you're like, fuck, that guy's not missing. Like,
yeah, I mean, just introduce as little as you can into the firearm.
right. Yeah, basically
get it
support the
set
gun
up.
and then just touch the trigger.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't know. It's probably like a lot of things, just like psyching yourself out, like shooting. 3, 4, 5, 600 meters isn't hard.
Right.
But, it's all the stress. And then, if you're not paying attention, you forget everything you've learned or been training. Yeah, you can fuck it up real easy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a 600-meter shot with any of these, well, maybe not that, but like even this 14.5-inch 308, like, it's not a difficult shot.
Right.
Unless you have some hellacious wind or some other circumstance. It's not a hard shot with that gun.
this seems to be like the perfect setup for maybe not necessarily like Iraq, but Afghanistan. It seems, or just, I mean, most places, this seems to be the perfect, short enough, 308 gas gun. It's nights, it's going to work. Like, this seems to be the move. Do you know anything about this?
I do know a little about this particular gun, actually. I would agree with you. I think, look, when I was rocking a gun like this, most guys, when I was inside a house, was like, what kind of gun is that? I'm like, it's a 308. And they're like, no, it's a 5.56 gun. And I'd be like, look at the magazine, dude.
Yeah.
And a guy would be like, oh, damn. Oh, cool. Right? Like, well, A, nothing like this ever existed before then, right? But B, you know, look, in Afghanistan, we wanted a rifle that could reach out and touch 600 to 700 meters reliably and easily. Look, it's what Kevin was just saying. Inside of 600 yards, I would say with some minimal information, you could probably make a 600-yard shot 85% of the time.
Yeah.
Now, 700 yards with a 308, 800 yards, instantly 50-50.
Yeah,
600 yards, super easy, right? Like,
yeah, wind is tough, you know, when you get out there.
Yeah, but for Afghanistan, this thing is exactly what we wanted. Now, I would say this rifle's still a little bit too heavy, right? It probably needs to be in the maybe under 10-pound range with a scope for a guy to be like truly effective and not smoked. But yeah, these Shorty 308s, man, in Iraq or Afghanistan, this is what you want. I mean, think about this. If you're an assaulter or a sniper in a unit squadron, some of the things you're going to be asked to do on a nightly basis: shoot from helicopters, shoot people or vehicles from helicopters, shoot inside of buildings, people or other stuff from inside of buildings, shoot outside of buildings. Once you take a building, you got to hold it, right? You got to get to the building, so shoot outside of buildings, inside of buildings. Having said all of this, what I would say is the average distance you're going to shoot is probably going to be the 100-yard mark in Iraq, right? Maybe Afghanistan would be a lot farther because that ambush distance is 600 yards, which would make the average engagement much farther, right? But the Shorty 308, I think, is the gun of choice. And I would also say isn't that what the Army's trying to go to right now with the 6.8?
Yeah, basically.
Sort of. You know, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in that whole thing because, you know, I mean, they're pumping the pressures, but you got to have this special ammo. It's very expensive, steel case head.
Yeah, there's like one guy who makes it.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, it's 300 blackout out of a short barrel kills better than 5.56. 308 is way better than 300 blackout. 300 Win Mag is way better than 308. 338 Lapua Mag or 300 Norma is way better than 300 Win Mag. So it comes to, from my standpoint, you know, what am I comfortable carrying, being exhausted with, and shooting with? And I want something relatively lightweight and compact, you know. And with that said, if I can have, you know, any of those calibers, if I can have the next biggest one, it's great for killing. Like, I love 300 blackout. 308 kills way better, and then 300 Win Mag kills way better. Like, yeah, a 308 gun that size. But you're right, that gun's just too heavy. Like that gun weighing 6 pounds, you know, without mag and scope, is phenomenal. But you know, that's probably an 8-pound gun,
right?
And 2 pounds, it seems silly, but it's not in a gun.
That's not at all. Yeah, I would say. As the money SAR major, and you probably know this as trying to work in CDD, every meeting I ever had, the word penalty means weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
In every Army development, every money, everything I had to do with development and money for the Army, penalty was always weight.
Yeah, most of it, because reliability is just a no-go. So
Right. And then, you know, penalty weight will always be a downside for the ground troop.
Yeah. I think more and more people are catching on to it. I
Agree.
I mean, it's like anything else you have, whether we're talking about a pistol, being able to carry a rifle, if you got to have a makeshift shiv, it's like whatever you have with you is the best thing. And I'm much more likely to carry a gun if it's lighter and easier to manage.
Agree. I used to always tell my guys in Iraq, a lot of guys get the Black Hawk Down, what I would call the Black Hawk Down syndrome. They want to carry 15 magazines. They want to carry 13 frags. They want to carry... And I used to always tell my guys, I was like, look, your kit, your body armor with everything in it, 55 pounds. No more than, right? Because you're not truly effective with more than 55 pounds on your body. Now, think about this. Think about proportionately what that would be for weight for a human being, right?
That's probably 30% of the average unit guy.
Totally. That's exactly my point. That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's guys that, like, you in your prime
right
were, 250 pounds, and there's a bunch of dudes that weigh 135 pounds.
Correct. So,
because, I would have thought, I knew nothing about it when I started working with you guys. Like, oh, they're probably all, like, pro football players. Well, 20%.
Correct.
I would imagine, too, and I could completely be making this up, that even I'm speaking outside of like a low vis clandestine type thing. If you're going on, if you only have a small number of target sets a night or whatever on this specific night, you're not going with 7+1 mags and whatever. Like, are you going with 3 extra mags or 2 extra mags or whatever? Like,
yeah. What you generally carry? Let's say when you're carrying a 5.56 gun.
Okay. So depends on the mission.
Yeah.
right.
Offsets, helo offsets, long walk in, right? We used to do this a ton. I wear boots. I will wear real boots, high top boots on the long walk. I wore low tops once, landed in a field. The field was flooded for irrigation to grow shit, and I lost a shoe. I had to walk most of the night with one fucking shoe. I ended up just ditching the other shoe. I was like, fuck it. I walk with no shoe. So I was just in my army wool socks all fucking night. So helos, boots all night. Big boots, tie up, tight boots. Now, if we were doing helos and walk-ins, right, I would carry 7 magazines that I could get to right now. I would start with 2 in my gun. And then now I could carry, depending, let's say I had 8 mags, I might put 2 in my backpack. That way, like if I was on the run or whatever, I could take my backpack off and then I got 2 more,
When you say 2 in gun, are you taping them together? Or
yeah. I tape them together with a pencil and 100-mile-an-hour tape. Why? I'm a lefty. It's the lightest way to do it and still be effective. Okay. Inside of Baghdad, in armored vehicles, in and around Baghdad, 4 mags on my kit, 1 in my gun, maybe 1 or 2 double stacks in my kit. Why? The vehicle's never more than 20 to 50 yards from us. We could go get all the magazines we ever needed, right? And then what we would do is we'd pre-pack bags. If we thought it was going to be a shit show of a night, we'd hit the breach point. As soon as we got to the breach point, we'd drop explosives, mags, frags, whatever we thought we needed, because we would think, we ain't going back out to the trucks anytime soon. This could be bad for you. So we drop a lot of stuff at the breach point. But the reality is vehicles, I would carry less. Now, longer missions than that, I would carry more than that. However, the longer missions like in Afghanistan where we go out for a week or whatever, I wouldn't carry a pistol.
Right.
SOG guys didn't carry pistols in fucking Vietnam. Why? They carried more rifle magazines because the rifle does more damage, is going to protect you better, right? So in Afghanistan, I didn't carry a pistol. I just carried a rifle and more mags. So depending on what we're doing would be depending on what my loadout would be for tonight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do too.
You were gonna say that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
was
I'm
gonna
pretty
tell
sure.
you mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, I'm
you
pretty
said
sure.
mine anyway. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was. It's like the royal we. The royal we is
Yeah,
what I was
right.
talking about.
I just carry one spare mag.
Now it's extra mag.
If I got a chance to go out with like dudes right now somewhere, like they're like, yeah, come on, retired old sergeant major, come tag along, right? I wouldn't bring shit, and they'd be like, you don't want a gun? I'd be like, no, I'll be fine, son.
I'm gonna take your gun when you're shot.
Yeah,
That's what you're thinking.
I just pick them up.
Yeah. even hunting, I always carry a spare mag.
yeah, I do too.
Well, even hunting, I carry a pistol on my body.
You do?
Yeah.
My PH does. Otherwise, maybe I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I hunt a lot in South Texas. Always South Texas.
Snake.
Carry a firearm on your person.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
Have you ever had to do that? Have you ever had to pick up a gun that wasn't yours?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you didn't have a gun or something else happened?
Man, bunch of stuff. Like when I'd be out alone, I used to have to grab AKs all the time. I'll tell you another thing we used to do is back in the mid 90s, your pager.
Damn.
You know what a pager is?
I do.
Yeah, you had one or you heard
No,
of
I used
it?
to have to page my dad when I was little.
So, you know this.
Yeah.
Pagers. Like, this is non-existent shit. Did you have a pager?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, fuck who didn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, so your pager goes off in the middle of the night, right? And you get the codes. So you're like, fuck.
Yeah, shit, 6
So,
420.
So you activate the phone call roster. So you call your first line in the chain of command, and it's your boss. And like, this is a really official secret phone call in the middle of the night of a guy that you probably talk to every fucking day. That this isn't really a secret phone call because you talk to this fucking guy every day. So you call him in the middle of the night, and you're like, I just got the page. And he'd be like, we'll be by to pick you up in 15 minutes. Be out front.
Oh, that's way different than ours. Ours was don't take a piss. You're coming. Come in.
So, and it's like, okay. So, like, you go stand out on your porch, right? And, like, a van pulls up out front of your house. You jump in the van, right? And they bag your head and, like, stuff you in the van. And they drive all over. And you have no idea where you are, where you've been. Like, you're in the bottom of the van under a seat. And you're pretty sure, like, I might be under someone else, but I'm not sure. I think that is someone else. So there's obviously someone else here stuffed in the bottom of the van with me, maybe. I don't know. So the van stops. They grab you. They sit you in a seat. You hear the door open, right? And then they take your bag off, right? And you're like, okay. And they look down. And there's a kit bag at your feet of miscellaneous machine guns that you have no idea what the fuck they are. And there's miscellaneous magazines and bullets. And you got to put these three together in a moment's notice. And they're like, there's this guy in this house. Go kill him. And you're like, doesn't fit. Magazine. No, that one doesn't go in there, right? And then, like, finally, you figure it out. You got to run in there with this fucking crazy subgun you ain't never touched before and go in and dunce everybody. So, yeah. Hey, fucking with guns you never touched before is the whole premise of what unit guys do.
Damn.